Welcome again. If you are watching live, please put in the comments where you are watching from. And if you are watching the replay, please put replay once you watch it as well. Okay. So Instagram, I'm not 100% if you can see me, but I'm going to make sure either way that you will see me today. So one moment. How's everybody doing tonight? I am so excited, super excited for what we are talking about tonight because this is something that's not discussed. This is something of great importance that we do not speak about. And it happened to be a viewer who brought it to my attention. And so this is why we are doing this tonight. So you might be seeing me twice now, but it's all good in the hood because if you couldn't see me before, you're going to see me now. Just trying to see here. Okay, so welcome. You might be watching twice on Instagram, but I did not forget about you today, and I am streaming on two different cameras to make sure that you will not be neglected. So therefore, let's get into it. So welcome to number 94 of the Sonya Dungee podcast, where conversation is always the essence of the soul. It is presented tonight by Always Destined for Greatness, LLC. I am your host, Sonya Dungee, and I'm still bringing the heat to the Facebook, YouTube, and IG streets. Just get rid of this. Okay. So thank you for joining live, if you're joining live or via the replay. As always, I am eternally grateful for all of you, the comments that are left, the subject matter that is suggested, whether it be through email, through text, through DMs, through IMs. Thank you very much. So again, so tonight's episode actually came from a viewer who asked that I speak about grief during the holidays. So very important topic that we must not neglect. So by all means, keep the suggestions flowing. So as we know, grief has a way of amplifying. So grief and all its pain really can amplify during the holiday season. Not to say that it doesn't any other time, but more so during the holidays. And I witnessed that firsthand back in 2017, Thanksgiving, when my dad decided that he was going to spend Thanksgiving alone. And quick background, my mama, she went to be with the Lord in April of 2017. And we all took it very hard. And my dad, that was his soulmate. That was my mama. That was my dad's everything. And therefore, as we were there in the room with mama, watching her take her last breath on this earth, first breath in heaven, I saw my dad's reaction. And then I saw how he excused himself quickly out of the room and down the hall. And at that point that I knew that it was going to be very difficult for my father's survival without his soulmate, without him going home every day to her. Because you see, my dad was retired. He was twice retired. And he chose to work. He worked for a transportation company so that he can drive his, as he called his ladies, around. And they were seniors as well. who he would pick them up from a community and take them on certain days to the mall shopping or to the supermarket on a time frame, mind you, of his own. And then he would help them off the bus and carry the packages into their homes. And that was not part of his job, but that's something he chose to do. And then when he finished work, and sometimes, a lot of times, mama would go with him. So she would be on the bus with the ladies, and they just would be a chit chatting and comparing notes and whatnot. And and then they would go home. So for my dad, he didn't have mama anymore. So when it came to the holidays, my dad was he was completely lost, but he hid that from us. So he thought. He would tell my sister Rosalinda that he was going to my house to celebrate with my immediate family, and then he was supposed to go over to her home and celebrate, and then have dessert, and it would be vice versa, and that's what they would do during the holidays. Him and mama have dinner at one place, dessert at another, and so therefore he told my sister Rosalinda he was having dinner at my house. He did not. He did not. And what he did do was he chose to be at home, and he set two table settings, one for himself and one for mama. And he would have her picture where she would be sitting, and he would talk with her, and they would have their dinner for Thanksgiving and the dinner for Christmas and the dinner for New Year's and birthdays, anniversary, all of that. And I knew what my father was doing. I caught on to him early on, but he swore me to secrecy. So I had to blackmail him a bit. I said, okay, but if you don't come over for dinner or for dessert, I'm going to tell on you. Finally, my sister found out. I don't remember if I told her or she found out on her own. I know at one point we did speak about it, but I don't remember the time frame. But I remember him, and this went on from 2017 all the way to December of 2020. Yes. And at that time, my father said, I'm not going to do this anymore. This is it. I promise I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to close this all down. I'm going to put her to rest. Well, my dad went to be with the Lord a couple weeks later, so he had his last memories and his last meals with mama just the same. And the reason why I share that with you tonight is because when I say I understand and I see you and I hear you and I feel you, I once was you, or I experienced it, that's the truth. I experienced that firsthand. So I witnessed that intensity on more than one occasion. And it wasn't a good feeling. And being on the outside looking in is just as difficult as living it yourself. And I wanted to point that out because if we are not ourselves going through grief and hardship and despair, or we have yet to ever experience it, we know of someone who is, or someone's who is, who are. And often looking from the outside, you don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I just knew that I loved my father, and it hurt me to know that that's what he was doing. And I knew mama would not have wanted that for my dad. He wouldn't. She wouldn't. And she would let him know in a minute. When she didn't approve of something, she let you know. If I didn't call her fast enough, or she felt like too many days went by, because I lived not even 2 minutes down the street at the time, she would call me up and she would address me and say, well, where are you, you little SHIT? But she said it lovingly, but she was letting me know, hey, I love you. How are you? So that's why I knew she wasn't going to play those games with my father had she have known that that's how he would be, because they had a conversation ahead of time. So the reason why I'm sharing this and being transparent with you, is because we don't know what to say and we don't know what to do. I just knew that wasn't the expectation of my dad. So I had to let him know. And I had to tell him that I was going to tell on him should he continue with that behavior. So I hope that tonight's episode will help you take steps for that pain that's in grief, or helping somebody with that pain that's in grief. And just to pause for 1 second, I know it says the Veterans Tribute above it, but the spiritual warfare as it was would not allow me to get that off. And I did not want to be any later in trying to mess with that. So you get the gist of it at the bottom with the ticker. And you know we spoke about time, and time is precious, and I don't play those games when it comes to time. So I just wanted to let you know, I know it's there. But that was the previous tribute. So if you didn't get a chance to see that tribute, that's a reminder, go check it out. That was on Veterans Day. Okay, so tonight's episode is alleviating the grief. It's the pain, okay, during the holiday season. So in keeping 100% transparent, there's no easy fix. There just isn't. And it's hard to execute. It's not easy to do. And by no means of the imagination am I trying to make light or telling you it's a piece of cake, because it's not. I went through it myself. 342 days, do the math, there's 365 days in the year. So for just about a year. So tonight I'm going to give you 6 ways to alleviate that pain and grief during the holiday seasons. So number 1 is have some coping mechanism in place so that you can rely on that when you are feeling that grief and that pain, and it's hitting so hard that you can't breathe, you can't think, you can't see straight, you don't know what to do. So the first one is breathing techniques. Just breathe. I hold my breath momentarily, suck it all up, and then I push it all out. Suck it all up, and then I push it all out. But just remember to breathe. And then exercise. I am not going to sit here and tell you a story. I am not one that loves to exercise, but I find ways to exercise. Okay, Namari is fixated on Baby Shark. And trust and believe me, there are many different episodes and people doing it different ways. So I watch it with him, and I'm dancing and I'm sharking and I'm moving around and I am exercising. But choose to exercise, even a long walk, a brisk walk. I love to walk fast and shake my arms. And I did a lot of that when I was deep in my grief. I walked late at night, early morning. My family was like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going for a walk. Like, I'm in a complex. I'm okay. Like, I'm going to walk in the complex." But sometimes you just need a moment alone, and a nice little walk will do it. The next is listening to soothing music. If you're a jazz person, jazz music. I love to listen to jazz music and try to pick up the different instruments within. Or sometimes I like old school rap. As you remember, I was trying to get Alexa to act right, but she wouldn't last week, but it's all good. But listening to music, they say calms the savage beast, but I don't know about that. But I know when I'm feeling a certain way, I like to listen to music. Okay, or there's a song that my dad that my daughter Taylor shared with me that my dad was actually listening to in the car with her the week before his passing when they went to the doctor. Trying to remember, I could see his face. But anyway, I'll think of the song. I'll catch Taylor and ask her. But it was the fact of the matter is, it was funny because who would have thought my dad would have listened to that, but he did. And then I was like, okay. So when I hear that song, it just puts me in a happy place. Okay. 2, lean on your community for support. Have someone on speed dial. Have someone on speed dial. It doesn't hurt. Sometimes you just want to talk to a familiar person. You want to see a familiar face. Maybe you can same time video chat, depending on Android or iPhone. But that's very helpful. So lean on your community. Call someone. If you're in a community where you have a group chat, just say, listen, guys, I'm really going through something now. Pray for me. I need your support. And they will. Have some prayer warriors, whatever it is, but make sure you lean on your community, because we all know willpower alone will never outdo a community ever. And don't ever think that it will, because straight up, it won't. It won't. Okay. She's not hearing me knocking. Number 2, I wrote, wear your emotions on your sleeve. People might not agree with me with that, but what I mean by that is, if you want to cry, cry. There is no shame in crying. You're letting things out instead of holding them in. By holding them in, it makes for a worse situation. Scream. Scream. Stomp. Stomp. Again, being transparent, I witnessed my dad going down the hallway. He was stomping. Stomp. But if you want to laugh, it's okay. Laugh. Laugh. Sometimes I found myself laughing, and I was saying to myself, why am I laughing? Because I don't feel like the laughter right now. Why am I laughing? But something made me think of my dad. Something made me think of my grandmother. Something made me think of my mama. And most recently, when my mom went to be with the Lord last June, there was always something that made me laugh when it came to her. I could look at a bottle of dye and crack up, because she was always calling me, Sonya Simone, I need you to get me this. I need you to go buy me that. And don't let me go to Wally Mart, as I call it, and walk down the medication aisle. Because no matter how I'm feeling, I'm going to start laughing. And the reason why, my mother tried to get me locked up. My mother would call me and ask me to smuggle her into the nursing home, diuretics and all kinds of things. And I'm like, Ma, I can't do that. You can't, you've got medication, you have prescribed medication. I can't do that. Oh, it's okay. Put it in this or wrap it in this. I said, I will not. So when I see things like that, if I'm missing my mom or something set me off, especially during the holidays, and I just start laughing and people look at me, I don't care. What do you care what people think? They don't know what's in your heart. They don't know what you're thinking. Laugh. Laugh. Laugh till your jaws hurt and feel like they're going to fall apart. Laugh. Um, Sometimes we laugh because we think of a loved one and a mannerism, uh, or something that they did, or something that they said, or you see their favorite color, or a program on TV, like in my dad's. And I know I talk about. Let me just set the record straight. Also, I know I talk about my dad a lot. That does not mean or mitigate my mom or anybody else or my mama that has passed. It's just that my dad was the catalyst to where I am today, and the grief that I felt for that long. Because you see, with mama, I grieved, but I couldn't fully grieve because I was worried about my dad. So I really, honestly, I did not fully grieve until my dad passed. When my dad passed on, I grieved. The day of the funeral, I grieved. But I just wanted to share that with you because I do speak about my dad more, and that's the reason why. And if you're watching something on TV, like I shared before, the most ridiculous thing is my dad lived 12 minutes away from me. After he moved, after mama's passing, and he was like 2 minutes away, he went to 12 minutes away. He would call me. I'm talking to my dad, watching Family Feud, and he's talking to me and he's watching Family Feud or The Voice, or something that he loved that I love to watch. And I'm like, what are we doing, Daddy? He didn't pay me no mind. He just kept talking, laughing, and just giving out the answers before I even had a chance to think what I could answer. But things like that will make you laugh. So whatever the memory is that you hold that makes you feel good, do that. Share that. Think that. Talk about that. And 4, carry on expected traditions. Carry on expected traditions. And what I mean by that is, I read, in doing my research, I was reading, and something I read was so true that I would have never thought of. And it said, if there are children that are grieving because their mom passed on, or their dad, or their grandma, their grandpa, somebody that was near and dear that they think about often, and you know that they're grieving, especially during the holidays. For instance, whoever dressed up like Santa Claus, if that person has passed on, don't forget. Don't forget about that child who's used to every year Santa Claus coming. How do you explain Santa Claus isn't coming this year? So think about that. Get somebody to dress up like Santa Claus if that was the case. I thought that was great. I would have never thought of that. Um, Also, when it came to baking and the holidays, whoever that baker was, whoever made the best dishes, whoever shared the best recipes, talk about that. Think about that. Share and how you felt during those holidays, being around your loved ones. And you could always start new traditions. You could always think about new traditions as well. But in keeping with the old traditions, now that I'm sitting here, things that come to my mind as well is whoever was the first person who arrived for the holidays for dinner, especially, and was the last to leave, or who came empty-handed but was quick to grab the first plates, or who might have brought something that you that you told them that it looked really good, but you were too full, or you would eat it later, but you never did. Those things, or someone who tried to cook, did their best, but things got burnt up, so you had to rely on Boston Market for the meal, or who couldn't cook, so they cheated and they ordered their food ahead of time and put it in dishes, and you knew darn well it didn't come from them, but you faked the funk right along with them just to make them feel good. Things like that. Or like I said, you can start new traditions as well. And you can volunteer at a local soup kitchen or a local shelter, community center, and serve. A lot of the times they have holiday meals ahead of time. If a holiday says Thursday, say it's Thanksgiving, the week before that Saturday, the community will have a holiday dinner then. So you can volunteer. I'm in the past, being that my dad would go and he would help me deliver the turkeys through Nassau and Suffolk County as part of our New Vision pioneers, and we donated turkeys. So what I did was I cooked a couple of turkey dinners and I took them down to the firehouse because they were feeding the community the Saturday before, and I donated those. So that's just not to pat myself on the back, just giving you some ideas of things you can do. You can donate to an organization that relates to your loved one. For me, I right now have a box and a couple of bags of things that on the 20th, the Veterans Administration, I believe it is. No, I'm sorry, it was the Vietnam veterans. They will be in the local area for pickup. So I have to call them and let them know, give them my address, and they'll be here on the 20th, as I did with Lupus, with Happily Healed with Tennille. I told her I was doing that in her honor. She's still here, but you can do that too. It's for a good cause. She's a loopy. Um, you can decorate a tree in your yard, even if it's a little old bush, something. You can decorate a tree, or if they had decorations at the holidays, you can make sure that you put them up. Um, you can do a Friendsgiving as a new holiday if it's too painful and you just can't get through Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's. In the old tradition, you can do a Friendsgiving instead. Another one was ugly sweater dinner, and you could have everybody wear their ugly sweaters, and then a winner is chosen instead of the traditional Christmas party and dinner. And you could do something for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day the same. If there's kids involved, and you can go out and play football, or do it just about anything. Go to a movie, go to a school and play. You can run around the track. There's so many things that you can do that people don't always think about. And it's fun to think of new things. And 6 is remembrance. You can just gather together and fellowship. Talk about previous holidays and gatherings when you were able to laugh and tell jokes, and who got mad at who for joking with that person when they weren't in a joking mood, or talk about talk about uh, that specific tray of food that you forgot in the refrigerator to take out because you said, oh, we can have that later, or that dessert that you intentionally left and forgot in the refrigerator. Who made the best dishes? Who made the best desserts? Again, who was always first to arrive? Who was always who arrived without bringing a meal? Or who had the best gifts on the holidays? So many things that you can do, but we can definitely do remembrance, and we can definitely do our very best to alleviate the pain, because that in the grief, that's what it is. It's that pain. And again, I know it is not easy, but it's something that we have to talk about. It's something that we have to address. It's something that we have to aim for. Because when we keep it bottled up inside, that's when we start getting physically sick, emotionally sick, mentally sick. And it can get grandiose if we don't work on it. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. And I will just bring the topics up again. The different ways, I'm sorry. So having a coping mechanism in place ahead of time that you can use. 2 was lean on your community for support. I love my community. They're a bunch of non-judgmental folks that I call family, that no matter what, I know non-judgmental zone that I can rely on, I could talk to. They've got me through things they didn't even know they had got me through. Wear emotion on your sleeve. It's okay. It's okay to cry, scream, stomp, yell, laugh. It's okay. It's okay. A long while ago, come to think of it, I did a podcast and we spoke about crying, and I had 2 gentlemen on the platform that evening, and they both agreed that it was okay for a man to cry also. I respect the handed down generational men are not supposed to cry and they're supposed to be strong and they're not supposed to show emotions. I respect that 100%. Do I believe it personally? I'm going to be honest. I personally don't. I've seen it take a toll on many a person's, many a man, many a boy, many a young man, because they were taught not to cry. Men don't cry. But then breaking it down realistically, and this is myself, not to push my thoughts on anyone, but realistically, God made us in his image. We have tear ducts. Jesus wept. It's in the Bible, Jesus wept. Just want to point that out to you. Jesus is alive. Jesus wept. 4, carry on expected traditions, like if a child is grieving and they believe in Santa Claus, and in case children are watching, and Santa Claus is coming to town, take care of that. Don't disinclude them. Keep that tradition going if that's what you choose to do. Start new traditions was number 5. Volunteer, donate, decorate a tree, have a friendship giving instead. Ugly sweaters, all of that good stuff. And remembrance. Remembrance does my heart something magnificent when I really start to think about the good times and the craziness and all of that. It just really does something to my heart and my soul. So I want to share that with you. And then I will be having Boss Masterclass next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just before the Sonya Dungee podcast at 8 p.m. And there are so many things that we have to get done. So many things that we still have to get done before we watch the ball drop on December 31st in Times Square or wherever else you watch the ball drop at. And we got to make sure that we got ourselves together. So I welcome you all to a free masterclass, 5 vital steps from hardship, grief, life challenges to forward progression, one day at a time. I will drop the link again tonight. I have it in all my posts. It's important. We got to get ourselves together so we could be the very best versions of ourselves, so that we can leave this 2024 with set goals, and we can start 2025 afresh, knowing we're on the right path, doing the right thing, changing lives. We all have a calling. We all have a purpose. And for me, I am a transformation coach, and I help those who are struggling with hardship, grief, life challenges, go from suffering in silence, feeling stuck as I once did, with no direction, no end in sight, to become resilient and empowered with an attitude of expectation and excellence, achieving economic independence so that they can be destined for their greatness while walking truly in their own purpose. So I want to thank you all for joining. I thank you for being here. This is my 94th episode tonight. I'm grateful. I'm appreciative of each and every one of you. I value you more than you could ever know. You have uplifted me in my darkest moments. You have encouraged me to go on. You see, this platform is for all of you, because it'll be that one time in something that was said that resonates with somebody that needs to hear it. If you know someone who is suffering, who has just had a death in their family, or they're going through a divorce, or they're fighting nasty custody battle, or if they've lost their dwelling, their income, I ask that you please invite them as well. Invite them as well, because this might not be for you in what I'm talking about when it comes to grief and life challenges and hardship. You might not be able to relate, but I guarantee you that there is somebody that you know of right now, tonight, that can benefit from the podcast, Sonya Dungee podcast, every week. I walk and talk with Sonya every day. And most importantly, the Boss Masterclass coming up next Wednesday. Until we meet again, remember, you are valuable. You beat out millions to be here. You're a child of God. Your life matters. Your voice matters. You matter. Take a good look at that self-image in the mirror. Talk to that image like never before. Spiritual warfare is at its finest. I did a walk and talk this morning, and you saw what happened. I started to edit it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to be transparent. You're going to see. So I put them both on there. The phone dropped and all. Cut me off. Had to start it again. And the clips are powerful. One is an automatic clip. But whatever the reason is, it fell. But it's all good. because I put it on there anyway. We all go through it, but we are going to persevere. We are going to persevere. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Until again, another. Amen. Be safe. Watch your back. Something ain't right. It's not. Stay well. Something doesn't feel right. If you're feeling a symptom, you are not 100%, go get checked out. Go get checked out. And negativity, we all know it's at its highest, but it's all good. We as individuals, we're going to do what we need to do for us to take care of us. We are going to be the very best version of ourselves, and we are not going to compare our beginning to anybody else's middle. The negativity, bottle it up, use it to fuel you, catapult you into 2025 forward direction, taking it one day at a time. And lastly, always be destined for greatness. Until I pop up again, bye for now. God bless you all.